Good evening and welcome to the September 23rd, 2024 council meeting. Members of the public were provided with the following methods in which to watch or participate in the open public meeting. Attend in person at the North Dumfries Community Complex. Attend electronically via Zoom to observe the meeting or to speak to an item on the agenda. You can also watch the live stream by accessing the meeting on the Township YouTube page. Or you can submit written comments to the Clerk's Division that were provided to council members and will form part of the public record. I'd now like to call this meeting to order. Can I have approval of the agenda, please, Councillor Tiffany?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Williams, that council adopt the September 23, 2024 council meeting agenda with the following addendum. Add item 13.1, closed session, confidential report LGL 02-2024, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, Municipal Act Section 23(2)E, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Municipal Act Section 239(2)F.
All those in favor? Councillor Austin? Thank you. Carried. I would now like to give the Indigenous acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather today is the traditional territory of Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe and Neutral people. We acknowledge the enduring presence of the Indigenous people with whom we share this land today, their achievements and their contributions to our community. We offer this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples of Canada. But as I've said before, these are just words. So what does reconciliation mean? Ava Hill explained it to me so well, Chief Ava Hill from Six Nations a few years back, when Irene gave me, got a hold of Buddy Milko's hockey shorts, because he was actually the first Indigenous hockey player, and he was born here in Erin. And his story is quite interesting if you can get an old copy of the Erin News. So he didn't exist until the age of 16, and everybody wondered why. Because they wanted to protect their children from the residential schools, so they hid the children until 16. He became an NHL hockey player, and for New York, and we were able to get a hold of New York, and they sent 2 hockey shirts out, one for us, and one for us to give to Ava Hill as the chief of the Six Nations. And as she took the shirt, she said, "This is reconciliation. They don't want to steal the land back. They don't want their money. What they want is respect." Respect and acknowledgement for what they've done in this land. And I think that's what all Canadians want. I used to say, if you're Canadian, you respect first and you have to lose that respect. And I think in today's society, we need that more than ever. With so much diversity and confrontation, we need to remember to respect one another, to listen to one another, and then sometimes regretfully disagree, but with respect. So let's pause and think about that for a minute. Thank you. And is there any disclosure between an interest to general nature thereof? I so declare on item number 11.2.1, the ACC barrier-free lift. And I have handed in a notice to the clerk, written notice. So at that time, Councillor Williams will take the chair. I'd like now the adoption of the minutes, please. Councillor Williams.
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Holman, that council approve the following meeting minutes. Council meeting minutes of September 9, 2024.
All those in favor? Councillor Austin? Thank you. Carrie. that, now there's a recognition of Justin Harris, Senior Bylaw Officer, Certificate of Recognition from the Municipal Law Enforcement Officers Association in Ontario, 25 years of service. Tonight, I'm pleased to present to our Senior Bylaw Enforcement Officer, Justin Harris, a certificate from the Municipal Law Enforcement Association of Ontario in recognition of 25 years of service. We also have an updated long service medal presented to signify this event. This is obviously a major achievement, and the township joins the association in congratulating Justin on this milestone. Justin has been with the township for the past 5 years, following a number of years of service in the city of Kitchener. We have certainly enjoyed working with you, Justin, and look forward to having you here in North Dumfries for many more years to come. Justin, would you please come forward so I can present you with the certificate and your medal? Next, we have a delegation mark. Is it Mello? Resident of Greenfield Road, the assistance for Greenfield Road residents affected by August 17th tornado. Go ahead.
Dear members of the municipal council, I'm here to bring your attention to the urgent needs of the residents of Greenfield Road in Ayr following the devastating tornado that struck on August 17, 2024. The tornado, now rated an EF2, has caused severe damage to our community, and immediate assistance is required to support the affected families in their recovery efforts. Some requests of assistance is expedited permits. Given the magnitude of the damage and the urgency of the situation and the winter season that we're coming into, we request that the municipality expedite the permit process for repairs and rebuilding efforts. Turnaround time of 24 hours for permits will greatly facilitate the recovery process and help residents begin repairs without unnecessary delays. Waive permit fees. As this tornado was an unforeseeable act of nature, we request that permit fees be waived for the affected residents. This financial relief would alleviate some of the burdens on those who are already facing substantial costs due to the damage. Property assessments frozen. To assist residents in obtaining necessary permits and approvals for repairs, we request that property assessments be frozen for a reasonable period. This measure would help residents focus on restoring their properties to their pre-tornado conditions without the added pressure of increased assessments. Emergency Release Fund. We propose the allocation of municipal funds to provide direct financial assistance to families severely impacted by the tornado. This fund could help cover immediate needs such as temporary housing, essential repairs, stump removal, and other critical expenses. Debris removal services. We request that the municipality arrange for expedited debris removal services on both public and private property. Swift debris removal is essential to ensure safety and allow residents to begin the rebuilding process without obstruction. Notably, it's good to note that house insurance does not cover any tree or stump removal outside the structure. Infrastructure assessment. We ask that the municipality conduct a comprehensive assessment of damaged infrastructure in the area, including roads, utility lines, and public facilities. Ensuring the prompt restoration of these essential services is vital for the community's overall recovery. Tree replanting. Our road, once beautifully lined with trees, was devastated within moments. We request the municipality's assistance in replanting trees along the right-of-way to restore the natural beauty and ensure future generations can enjoy the lush foliage once more. House insurance does have limitations. Residents have learned. Trees and stump removals. House insurance policies generally do not cover tree or stump removals. They will only cover within a couple meters of the building structure or fence. Tree replanting, house insurance does not cover any tree replanting. Repair costs, there will be some repair costs that will exceed typical insurance coverages that they will not cover. Also, as well, hearing lately that there are insurance companies that are not covering permit fees that are required. We request that the township as well apply for the Municipal Disaster Recovery Assistance Program. This program helps municipalities recover from extraordinary costs incurred after a natural disaster. Eligible expenses under this program may include capital costs to repair public infrastructure or property, which will be crucial for our community's recovery. As well, to avoid confusion, we request that the township provide clear guidance on when permits are required and specify which agency is responsible for issuing them. This will help residents navigate the process more efficiently and ensure compliance with all necessary regulations. It is important to recognize that no one on Greenfield Road chose for this disaster to occur. It was a natural calamity. While media attention and visits from council members and municipal staff were present in the immediate aftermath, we now find ourselves in the need of sustained support. We urge the council to maintain its commitment and provide the necessary resource and assistance beyond the initial response phase. We believe that these measures will significantly aid the residents of Greenfield Road in their recovery and help them rebuild their lives with greater ease. We urge council to consider these requests and provide the necessary support to our community during this challenging time. Provided are the updated addresses and emails as well of all the individuals that supported my presentation.
Thank you. Any questions or comments, councillors? Seeing none, Councillor Tilly.
Is just noticing that there is mention of that. I want to repeat exactly what you said there. Apply for the Municipal Disaster Recovery Assistance MDRA program. Did staff do that? I'm just
CEO McNeely.
Madam Mayor, we are not eligible for the municipal disaster relief grant fund. We did not meet the threshold that's required by the province of Ontario. We have to have damage not to municipal assets, which would not be including those that are insured. So Cowan Park would not be part of the calculated footprint because it's an insured area. So the damage to our infrastructure system, municipally controlled, would have to exceed 3% of the value of our entire tax levy. And such, we have not crossed that threshold. Normal, regular wages associated with the cleanup or immediate response to the event would not be eligible to be calculated as part of that program. So it would actually be direct costs. So in some cases, we brought in outside equipment and or outside professional services to assist. Those would be eligible, but given the volume or value of that aggregate amount, it did not exceed the 3% threshold. So we do not qualify. The residents, however, do have the ability to apply for the Disaster Recovery Assistance for Ontarians. And this is a program sponsored by the province of Ontario. And it's only available to residents and businesses that have been impacted by climatic events such as the EF tornado that went through on the 17th of August.
No, we've never been.
That's speaking the thing together. Definitely an easy step, but we can definitely help with that. That's basically all I have to ask.
Madam Mayor, I'm just wondering, through Madam Mayor to staff, I'm just wondering, have we identified one staff member as sort of the go-to person for all these residents? If we had one person that was identified, maybe, I don't know, Shannon, Chief of Interest or something like that, identified as the go-to person that these residents could contact as a one point of contact, as opposed to having to talk to all different departments and be identified or put together a team of staff that can deal with this in isolation, just deal with the residents, you know, and deal with this tornado. Would that be more effective for the residents?
CEO McNeely.
So Madam Mayor, approximately 36 hours after the event, staff went and attended each property and we provided a one-page handout, sort of with background information. And we identified at that time the building division would be our lead, because the vast majority of the issues were property damage related to decks, accessory buildings, or the house structures themselves. In some instances, which potentially trigger building permits to deal with structural impacts that have occurred. Or if, because it's unique to this neighborhood, part of the Greenfield Heritage Conservation District, if people wish to change colors or materials attributed to their existing residences, as examples, that would require a permit under the Heritage Conservation District policies. Once again, administered through the building division. So certainly we can reissue some of those earlier talking points, but we have purposely made building the lead, because the majority of what we're talking about on private property would impact the building division. And Ms. Black, if there's an issue that has to deal with perhaps the Conservation Authority, if we're looking at the Milk River itself, or service utilities such as Enbridge, then she can make the appropriate liaison and the conduit between those external agencies and the affected property owner, because each property might have different related issues.
Councillor Austin.
So I'm having a little trouble hearing some people, so excuse me if this is already being asked, but can we have staff look into like what permits are being applied for in that? And as Mr. Mello said, is there a way that we can maybe expedite them and maybe waive the fees for certain permits and such, just to do what the township can do? Like, I mean, the township covering costs on private properties, I don't think is a very standard process, but is there something we can do at least with our permitting process, as was requested, like something that we can do to make life a little bit easier?
CEO McNeely.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Ossner. So I'm going to set aside FS Partners and Home Hardware, because the nature and extent of damage is very different than what we're talking about on Greenfield Road West. So putting aside the two commercial properties at Frame on North.
But sorry, excuse me, Andrew, for 1 second. The conversation is on the residents of Greenfield, right? That's what Mr. Mello's here for, or is he here for FS Partners and Home Hardware as well?
I just wanted to clarify when I talk about the number of permits that are being applied to, so that everyone understands the context of what I'm speaking to.
Got you.
So related.
Councillor Ossner, would you please go to the chair and let him finish? Thank you, CEO McNeely.
Exclusive to Greenfield Road West, early discussions with affected properties. We had suggested to 8 separate residential owners that they should be seeking an independent assessment from a structural perspective because of potential damage to their roofing system. And those properties were flagged by staff based on either large trees that had, or limbs had fallen onto the roof structure proper, or there was extensive removal of shingles from all or significant portions of the roof system itself. Because in Ontario, we do not require hurricane straps. Hurricane straps hold rafters to the wall assembly. There would be the potential where we see that extensive roof damage on the surface, being shingles as an example. There could have been the roof system lifting momentarily off of the wall assembly and then coming back. So the question would be, what does the rafter systems look like? And/or was there lift from the wall assembly, and was there any concern about a shift in that regard? We've received 2 separate structural engineering reports back so far, and in both cases, there's a recommendation that there's been minor structural damage to those 2 affected houses, which will in time trigger a building permit to deal with the reassembly of the rafter system. They're both minor. The extent of damage did not elevate to where there had to be a removal of the occupants from the residence. So there was no immediate concern about a collapse or a building failing. But long term, the structural elements were damaged. They should be properly restored. One of those two is actually materialized into a building permit application. And the permit was turned around in 2 business days. And the minimum building permit fee of approximately $205 was applied to that application. We're still awaiting the second building permit application based on the structural assessment report. It has not yet been filed with the township. We've had a verbal conversation. I'm going as of noon on Friday. There is a third homeowner that's expecting their report shortly. They've been verbally advised by their engineer that there has been some limited impact on their roof system as well. And we're obviously waiting the submission of that engineering report and then assessing whatever conclusions and recommendations come out of that report. So we do not expect or anticipate a significant number of building permits as it relates to the homes that have been impacted. In a lot of cases, replacing shingles and damaged siding doesn't trigger a building permit under the Ontario Building Code. However, as I mentioned a moment ago, these areas are part of the Greenfield Heritage Conservation District. There have been some homeowners that have said, "Oh, I have to replace my siding or my roof shingles. I'd like to change my color." That would trigger a permit under the Heritage Conservation District, which is independent of the Ontario Building Code. We do not have a fee structure for those conservation permits. However, there is a review process as established in the enabling bylaw that was adopted by council approximately 9 years ago. And depending upon what is being proposed, that could trigger a review by the Heritage Advisory Committee and an ultimate report to Township Council. Some aspects have been delegated to staff under the HCD bylaw. So not knowing any particulars, it's difficult to talk about what that process would look like or its time. But as I said, there have been some very early discussions with a handful of residents about, while they're going to make changes, they would like to be able to change colors and materials as the case may be.
Thank you, CEO McNally. So a couple of questions I have for you. First off, home assessments, that's done by impact. It hasn't been done since 2016. And we don't have a date from the province when they're going to do it yet. Do we? Is it 2026? So we still don't know when that's going to happen. That has nothing to do with us. The other was that infrastructure of the road and the lines and everything else, that was done immediately, like the day of and after, and everything is working and up and running, correct, CEO McNally?
So, Madam Mayor, the township obviously being the owner of the road, and we have a major culvert goes under Greenfield Road West that takes in a tributary, crosses the road and outlets into the NIF. Our road and our culvert system associated with Greenfield, they are deemed to be satisfactory. We were fortunate we did not suffer any significant damage coming under that. As it relates to other utilities, I mean, we have aerial hydro and aerial telephone, and then we've got buried natural gas. Certainly the day of the event and the preceding 24 hours, hydro was significantly impacted. Where applicable, new posts were installed, the lines were rehung, and there was the odd transformer that had to be replaced that was damaged as a result of the tornado itself. But to the best of my knowledge, Enbridge has not reported any service disruptions or impacts. Neither has Grandbridge post recovery or Bell Telephone.
Thank you, CEO McNally. Councilors, are there any questions or comments? Thank you, Mark. Can I have the motion, please, Councilor Rowland?
So, excuse me, Madam Mayor.
Councilor Rossin?
Sorry, still have my hand up. So basically, even though there's a limited amount, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so even though there's a limited amount of permits that may come through, is that something that would have to come to council if we wanted to help them with the cost of the permit process?
CEO McNally.
So, Madam Mayor, Council would have to provide direction to staff to waive any fees because they are in the council adopted fees and charges bylaw. As I've indicated, the one permit that has been issued, staff, based on the nature and scope of the work and the completeness done by the structural engineer in support of the building permit application, charged the minimum review fee of $205. That was based on the application, the nature of the application, and the extensive work that had been done by that third-party engineer. If council wishes to waive building permits proper, then council would have to adopt a resolution, identify what kinds of permits are we waiving, and then we would refund to the original applicant like their building permit last week, and staff would use that strategy then going forward for any other Ontario Building Code applications for storm-related damage.
Okay, Council Bowman, motion please.
Moved by myself and by Councilor Tilly, that a delegation of Mark Mello on behalf of residents of Greenfield Road West and associated impacts to the August 17, 2024 EF2 tornado event be received with thanks. And the staff work with residents of Greenfield Road West and explore the eligibility criteria and administrative process associated with the Disaster Recovery Assistance for Ontario program. And the staff continue to monitor events and progress on Greenfield Road West and provide further update report to council at November 12, 2024 council meeting.
All those in favor? Councillor Austin? Thank you.
Lionsby.
Next, we have REAP, Green Solutions, Impact Report 2023-2024. Take the podium, please.
Thanks very much. Good evening, Mayor Foxton, councilors and staff. We're pleased to be here this evening to share with you our most recent impact report. And just a few of the stories of that impact that from North Dumfries and other Waterloo region residents. Firstly, we want to acknowledge our co-founder, UW's Paul Parker, retired from our board last year, as well as Mary Jane Patterson, our executive director for 22 years. As you can see, they've left a strong foundation, a team of passionate individuals working on our mission to help the community with the practical tools and knowledge to pursue their own sustainability journeys. In 2020, we set a target to empower 10,000 meaningful actions by the year of 2030. This report marks our third year of tracking those actions, and as you can see, people in our community are hungry to get involved. 2,000 of these actions were recorded just over the past year. So you can tell that the acceleration of interest in climate change solutions, in everything from installing heat pumps to flood-proofing entire neighborhoods. With the wind down of the Greener Homes incentives from the federal government, we are in jeopardy of losing this important momentum. We have lots more numbers in our impact report, which you should have received a copy of earlier today. So we'll just like to focus our time on a few of the stories of that impact. So I'll turn things over to my colleague, Becca Robinson.
Corinne needed to replace her exterior doors and some windows in her home. After an energy evaluation, REAP's energy advisor highlighted several opportunities for further improvement of her 70-year-old home's energy efficiency. Green invested in a heat pump, added insulation strategically in key areas, and draft proof in other parts of her home. As a result, she had a 32% reduction in energy costs and was able to maximize the benefits of her investments. Last year, we visited 662 homes like Corinne. The Greener Homes and Enbridge Gas grants started to wind down towards the end of the year, and there's not been a new program announced to replace it. In the meantime, many homeowners have been able to take advantage of the CMHC interest-free loans of up to $40,000. There were 172 heat pumps installed across the entire Waterloo region last year. In North Dumfries, there were 5 energy efficient retrofits completed that will result in an estimated $2,000 in energy savings every year for those homeowners. Of course, many in our community aren't established homeowners themselves, but still have an important role to play. At English Conversation Circle, we met homeowners to talk about energy literacy. REAP staff provided tips on basic information like how to interpret their energy bill and simple ways to reduce their energy consumption. We're also pleased to partner with the region of Waterloo on an upcoming webinar, an outreach to educate newcomers and the general public about our drinking water supply. Our water quality is of critical importance, as you know. The wells where we draw our drinking water are increasingly under threat from salt floods used in the wintertime. Through a program run by the region of Waterloo, we help to educate both residential and business owners about the ways to reduce salt use in their winter maintenance. In the past year, property owners with our help have installed 724 healthy yard features in their property, such as rain gardens, permeable paving, and native tree planting, reducing runoff entering our local waterways and expanding our urban tree canopy. One of the participants states, the increasing number of rain gardens in the city is helping people feel that they're making a positive impact on the climate crisis. These gardens also create green spaces that make our streets look nicer and feel cooler. Building upon this work, we're using data to understand where climate vulnerability is highest in our community. Our new community canopy program, for example, enables us to be much more intentional about how we serve those who live in neighborhoods with the lowest tree canopy, and who also face some of the highest barriers of planting trees in their own environment. Through this program, we're working collaboratively with the city of Kitchener to expand the urban tree canopy on both public and private land to address tree inequality. This approach is an integral strategy to adapt our communities to the bigger storms and heat waves we expect to see in the coming years. REAP's vision is to leave our children a more caring, resilient, and sustainable community. And that's why the tree nursery that we started at Rare Charitable Research Reserve fits perfectly with that vision. This is the nursery's first year of operation, and it's been a true barn raising effort to get to this point. Volunteers have helped collect local seed, and this spring helped plant them. By using locally collected seed exclusively, we can be assured that the trees that we grow will be naturally adapted to our climate. By empowering volunteers to grow and plant trees, we're future-proofing against climate change. Thinking ahead to future generations is baked into our vision. However, we also seek to honor our community's past. Our Trees First program uses donations to care for legacy trees, which often predate the urbanization of our modern cities. By working with an arborist to help provide proper care for heritage trees, we're able to extend the lives of these trees and continue to benefit from their shade and many other gifts. In 2023, we hosted our first Tree of the Year campaign, where we celebrated a legacy tree in all of the cities and some townships in Waterloo region.
Okay. We presented earlier in the year about our Climate Action WR program. It's a program we run with Sustainable Waterloo Region in partnership with all of our area municipalities. We presented the 2022 inventory report, and the findings are that we need to act urgently around travel and reducing emissions from our buildings where we live and work. So if people aren't sure where to get started, we do offer on a regular basis taking on climate change workshops available to the general public to prioritize where people can do that in their everyday lives. And while not everyone is able to do a deep retrofit on their home or ride a bike to work, there are still ways people can make a meaningful contribution. Our zero waste challenge is a fun way everyone that produces waste, so pretty much everyone, including our pets, can participate. And while we take it, some people take it far more seriously than others, the no judgment zone, and so we encourage everyone to participate. Zero Waste Challenge runs throughout October with opportunities to dip your toe in the water with just a 7-day challenge. You just get a mason jar. The whole idea is to really sort of think intentionally about the waste that we produce. In terms of our financials, we saw significant growth over the past year in our fee for service revenue from people who scheduled home energy evaluations. There was an urgency there while people tried to get in while the federal Greener Homes Program incentives were still available. So there was a mad rush, and we saw that in our revenue. We'll be able to take that revenue and use it for the financial stability over the coming year, because those evaluations, we're continuing to do follow-up evaluations, but we're not getting a lot of new evaluations, and hence not the same degree of revenue. Lastly, we'd like to say this is our most important slide. We couldn't do it without you. We are grateful for this, for everyone's support in all its many forms. Mayor Foxton is a member of Regional Council. We appreciate the contribution the region makes to our core funding. Core funding is the constant that helps our organization weather the storms of like the ending of the Greener Homes Program. We'd also like to take the opportunity to say special thanks to municipal staff who we get to work with throughout the year. In particular, Andrew Healy and Michelle Poisson, who are point people on the Climate Action Program. And specifically this past year, Amy Ferguson and Matthew Line, who we worked with very closely to get the necessary permits and approvals needed to erect our new tree nursery. So that's our impact reports. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Can you take the screen down, see, so I can see Councillor Austin, please? Councillors, I've done the challenge, the Mason Jar challenge. I recommend you all should try it. Everybody in the audience should try it to see what kind of waste you're actually creating. It's really an eye opener, and you have to reevaluate everything. So it really makes you look at things. It's an excellent program. Even staff should look at doing it. Contact me. Any other questions?
Jars, we can hook people up.
Any questions or comments, councillors? Councillor Austin is where? There he is, okay. Can I have the motion, please, Councillor Williams?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Williman, that the delegation received from Rebecca Robinson and Patrick Gilmore with Green Solutions regarding the annual impact report we received from them.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Request to lift any items from the consent agenda. Do we not have to discuss them, Mr. Jim?
No, there's nothing on for it's in the map there. We do all this.
Thank you. Councilors, anything you wish to know? Seeing nothing, can I have a motion, Councilor Tilly? Is that correct?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Williams, that the following information items as listed on September 23, 2024 consent agenda be received. 10.2.1 Communications Correspondence, Ministry for Seniors and Accessibility RE 2024 Seniors Achievement Awards. B, County Branch Notice of Meeting, Mitchell Municipal Drain 2024. 10.2.3 External Public Agencies, GRCA, RE Blue Algae and Blue Green Algae and GRC Reservoirs. And B, Region of Waterloo, RE Notice of Commencement Water Supply Strategy Update.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you.
If I may, Madam Mayor, just to back up one little step, we do have the also the public speaker identification section. Which comes before the consent agenda that we want to do, so. We do have the polling out the audience, to see if there are any members who wish to speak. Reports as we get further along in the agenda. We missed that.
So should I allow anybody want to pull an item from the consent agenda? From the consent agenda?
And Madam Mayor, two points there. One is to confirm whether anybody has requested to speak to items that are also in the
No,
regular
no,
items for.
do we wait till they come up?
So two things. One is to confirm whether any have approached staff prior to the meeting, wishing to speak to any of the activities. Items for consideration and the agenda. I would note for our council, we have one. Mr. Jared has people wishing to speak to reports CAO. 18 minutes before regarding contracts. For the vacation. At the time, we have reports for the council of relations. And for other reports or even report that wish to make that.
So does anyone else wish to speak to any other item on the agenda for this evening?
Sure, I'll speak for a couple of minutes.
Which one is the item?
The 11.2.3.
11.2.3, so noted. Don't let us forget. So, next is, we've done that motions. Items from 11.2, 11. My acting for, this is, 11.1. Lifted item, 11.2, Council Williams. Council Williams will take the chair and I will step out.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
You have to take the chair again? Right. Okay. You got it. So. And you have to sign it. Okay. Thank you. And then have it back. Oh, sorry, thank you. Thank you.
So we'll continue with 11.2.1, which is the RAC report number 22-2024. A request for proposal award in the Air Community Center barrier free lift. Councilor Roman, I believe you have the motion.
For myself and my council Tilly, that report number 22-2024 be received. And the council approve the award of contract ND-2024-D5-RFP for ACC barrier-free elevator in the amount of $174,732 plus HST, which is Rare Construction Limited, and that council approved the original item for the elevator shaft decommissioning, $7,900 plus HST, and a project contingency of $85,981 inclusive of net HST be established. And that the mayor and clerk authorize execute any variance or contracts facilitated for this.
Anyone have anyone to discuss? Councilors? Yeah. All right, if everybody can vote. Yes, are we gonna carry this? All in favor? Thank you, carried. Can you please get the mirror back? I'd like to relinquish.
Down to. And 11.2.3 discussion paper fence bylaw updates. So is there any discussion on the fence bylaw? I had the one, Councilor McGuire.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, I read the report, I do agree that you should probably, have some sort of public engagement on this issue. I've had a lot of residents approach me, ask me why the fence height is 6 feet, some people want 7 feet. They pointed out that all the other cities are 8 feet. I spoke with the bylaw officer before the meeting, he pointed out that some of the townships have have different heights, 7.5 feet and whatnot, so. Probably a good idea to have those discussions. I do like the idea of the 8 feet.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Williams?
So I am sort of agree with Councilor Rowland, but I am kind of concerned by the 8 feet fence. In one sense, because I just feel like it does kind of insulate people, and I'm not sure what kind of community is being built if we're all behind 8 foot fences.
But you have to remember, it's your choice. You can do a 4 foot wrought iron fence, you can do a 5 foot fence, a 6 foot fence, but the ones that want 8 foot can also do that. But, Councilor Tilly,
I think the only situation where that may not be appreciated is where somebody doesn't want the fence to override their, say there's some control for the backyard. So I understand where that would be something where your neighbor decides they're gonna put an 8 foot fence in. Is there a possibility that if somebody was in, it was in disagreement to the 8 foot fence, that they could possibly have something that as a neighbor, they could say, I don't wish to have that, or?
CO McNeil?
So, Madam Mayor, what's been presented to you is for discussion purposes. We're not seeking decisions tonight on the actual fencing standards. Making sure council's got some comfort with the general tenets of the draft changes. Are they reflective in terms of the topical areas that members of council have raised in earlier meetings since the bylaw was amended earlier this calendar year? That's really what the discussion before you is. As it relates to the standards, if council, in the fullness of time, does adopt in the residential zones a permission in the rear and side lot lines of an 8 foot high fence, then that would be the maximum height. A person could build then up to that height of 8 feet. Okay. The adjacent owner may not like that, may only want 7 feet as an example. Permissive abilities of the bylaw allow up to a maximum of 8 if that standard is adopted. Now, you may recall, there was an earlier discussion at a prior council meeting about how does one measure height? Because in theory, depending upon how grade is changed from one property to another, or some persons maybe perhaps putting barrier installation or retaining walls and then measuring from that adjusted height. There is a definition in this draft bylaw that talks about how one calculates average grade to help assist in the measurement of what would actually constitute the measurement of height, regardless of the property line location, because it talks about a certain distance offset from the common lot line on both sides of the fence to help determine how one calculates height.
No other questions, comments? Can I have a motion, please, Councilor Tilly?
Moving on myself, second by Council Roman, the BL report 12-2024 be received, and then staff be authorized to initiate a public consultation and engagement process to solicit input from interested members of the community on the draft amendments to the fence bylaw. And then staff return to the November 12th, 2024 meeting with a follow-up report to council.
All those in favor? Councilor Austin? That's carried, thank you. So next up is 11.2.3, PW report number 18/2024, traffic safety reviews, Cheese Factory Road, Kings Road, Cheese Factory Road, and Maple Manor Road intersection. So would you like to come forward and give your name, please, and tell us your concerns?
And my name is Alfred Kennedy. And I did not come here this evening with any prepared speech. I'm not very eloquent, so I'll continue briefly. So I lived at 211 Red Maple Court for a little under 5 years. And I've been very impressed with how many accidents there are at the intersection of the three-way intersection of Cheese Factory Road and Maple Manor. My usual approach on my way to work is to head east on Maple Manor and then very carefully, because I'm aware of the dangerous intersection it is to pull out into the intersection so you can see to the right. The foliage has been cut back, which is helpful. Of course, that's a constant maintenance program. If you're careful, you can see vehicles coming, but they do come very rapidly. I've turned left there and more than once, I'm very surprised to see someone pass me. Even though I've stepped on it pretty quickly. So it is a very, very dangerous section. I think the best long-term approach for the improvement is not an inexpensive one. But to regrade somehow, regrade it, take the crest off the top of the hill, but in any case, we know there's been a study done, a traffic study, and I thank you for that. And just whatever it can take to make that intersection a little safer would be appreciated by my household, and I've also got three nephews and a son that live in the area, one on Autumn Maple and two on Silver Maple, and one on Maple Manor, and we're all aware ourselves of the dangerous intersection it is, but for those that are not aware, it is a very dangerous intersection, especially in view of the fact that there's only a stop sign on 3 sides of the fourth. Now, fair enough. I can understand why there's not one at the top of the hill as you head north coming into Cambridge, because it's steep. It's very steep. So I don't have a magic solution, but just whatever it takes to make it safer would be very much appreciated.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please, Councilor Roman?
Myself and Councilor Williams, that appeal report number 18-2024 be received. And the staff received with the outline street plans for the Cheese Factory Maple Manor intersection, Cheese Factory Road, as set up by staff in this report. And the staff returned to council in 2025 with a report to update council on next steps for future traffic safety reviews. And that bylaw number 3506-24 in a bylaw to further amend bylaw number 2559-13 traffic and parking bylaw. The following matters: 1, reduce speed limit on Kings Road standing from approximately 1265 Kings Road to Rosewood Road from 80 kilometers an hour to 70 kilometers an hour. And 2, remove the existing southbound stop sign control. The Cheese Factory Road, Maple Manor Road, Cheese Factory Road intersection be enacted. And that upon the enactment of the amending bylaw, staff will undertake necessary steps to post appropriate signage and commence with the public awareness campaign. And the council acknowledged public works operating budget line pay account line for 2024 required additional $7,000 to accommodate parking on Cheese Factory Road to assist with traffic speed modulation along this corridor.
All those in favor? Councilor Terry, go ahead.
I would like to have spoken to it as well. Just one of the things I noticed in the motion is it does not bring up anything about the, although it's suggested in the, I'm referring to the Cheese Factory Maple Manor intersection. It does refer to grading and like the report does say, I'm just trying to find the specific page here. It is page 43 of the report. Future regrading recommendation for the northeast corner, that isn't mentioned at all in the motion. So I'm wondering why that was left out.
See over here.
Madam Mayor, it's probably 18 or 19 different items. And so we did not list all of the business activities, other than those that had to have a regulatory change to the implementing traffic and parking bylaw. So the regrading, the removal of, or the maintenance of the vegetation at the intersection is captured under the bracket of all those summaries that are captured in recommendation number 2, that we do the outline safety plans for the intersection, Cheese Factory Road and Kings Road itself. So staff has that list of things to be undertaken, and some of those things have been done, others will be undertaken in the coming days.
In the coming days. Wow.
We control the intersection, we can regrade within our road allowance. There is one aspect that has made a suggestion for additional land acquisition. That's its own separate process. That will take a little bit longer. But certainly most of that grade in the boulevard at I'm moving westerly on Maple Manor, approaching the intersection. So we're looking at the northeast corner. That ridge can be cut down by township staff within our road allowance.
Thank you, that's fantastic.
All those in favor? Councillor Austin? That's carried, thank you. CAO report on King Charles III Coronation Medal Selection Committee. So we're looking to nominate someone to sit on this with MP by May Cambridge, is doing this committee. Any like to volunteer? Councillor Tilly, Scott Tilly will nominate Scott Tilly. So a forced nomination type thing?
Well, thank you. I was just responding to another, I was responding to somebody else who wanted to be in the meeting but missed it, and so I missed 90% of 99% of what you said, and so.
Tough, you lose now. You switch
Okay,
gears.
that's good. I'm glad I did.
Is the motion, please, Councillor Williams?
I'm on
Councillor Williams?
Moved by myself, second by Councillor Tilly, that CAO report number 17-2024 be received, and that council nominate Councillor Tilly from Township Council to be included in the King Charles III Coronation Medal Selection Committee. And that the office of Brian May and Cambridge be notified of council's nomination.
That's the right one.
Did you see that train coming through?
No, I
All those in favor? Carried. If someone asks for nomination, we need your one place.
I thought it was the only nomination available, but. Unfortunately.
Next is CAO report number 18-2024, site selection, North Dunsmere Pump Track, and Jeremy, you want to speak, please? Jeremy Dudley. Jarrett Dudley, sorry.
All right, try to be quick because we're only 5 minutes. So speaking to the. Right, so trying to summarize too much, there's two locations presented, Schmidt Park on the far hall and Calvin Park north of the skate park. So the Schmidt Park location was not suitable due to interference with toboggan hill. This is also too small of an area. We can sort of wedge it in the back corner.
This time, maybe see it.
Yeah. You want that thing?
This was the one, this one.
Yeah. Okay. Town Park behind the skate park, so it's going to require relocation of the walking path, fence around the stormwater pond, and exercise equipment. It has breathing entities there, washroom, shade structures, it's also close to the skate park. Is a shared user group. It also details that there's existing topography to assist in the design elements, which I would like to argue with. This area is, I don't believe is suitable for a pump track. It's on a slope and a hillside.
Flat area is ideal for pump track. So in images that here, you can see that there's a slope and a hillside. And if we throw the top view, so each of these rows would be either, or lines of the pump track would either be on a downhill or an uphill, which would greatly affect your speed and momentum you would have with using the facility. A prime example of this is the Waterloo Rim Park facility, which is built on a hill, where you do get going almost too fast by the one end, and then when you come up the hill, you lose all your momentum. So to start another lap, it isn't great. So that is one major negative of that facility. Next one. So it's also in the area where soccer spectating space is. In this view, you can also see the elevation change in the area proposed. The biggest thing is that it's far from the core of air. From the get-go, our committee has advocated that to maximize the usage of this facility, it needs to be located close to the central population. Callan Park, as the crow flies, is 2.2 kilometers from downtown. And it's like almost 10 minutes of a drive from the hilltop area where I live. So that is less than convenient. The local community does not want to have to drive to a recreation facility. If you wanted to drive, you could drive to Cambridge, Kitchener, Waterloo. You get a facility in our village, our small area, we should be able to get there easily and not have to load bikes and equipment into our car. If we have to, and the inconvenience of doing that is going to impact, it's going to be used less often. So I made a Facebook post to the air community, whatever Facebook group. There was 40 some comments. These are some of the summaries. Obviously, there's some of the back onto the park. I don't want it there. There's a lot of Schmidt Park is the best spot. There's a lot of I don't want to have to load my equipment into a car to have to go get there. This kind of stuff. So speaking more to what has already been defined and outlined, we did the major leisure services master plan. And through that, it identified Schmidt Park as the ideal location. Locating a pump track at Schmidt Park also ensures that youth and young adults in the growing south end of Bear are located within walking distance of this amenity. That came right from the leisure services master plan. So our committee is recommending the other area within Schmidt Park, which is directly north of the new playground and tennis courts. This area is much more centrally located, 800 meters from downtown. There are the same existing amenities of washrooms, shade, other playgrounds, and tennis courts. This is a large open flat area. Ideal. Topographical. So this area was briefly mentioned in the report, but not considered due to the loss of open area for unorganized play. So this here shows all the red areas of open green space that could be used for unorganized open play. There's 3+ soccer fields, there's the outfields of the ball diamonds. I've seen people playing cricket in the fall, the soccer fields, the ball diamonds. There's plenty of open green space. So potential conflicts was also mentioned with adjacent residential. There's more room here, so we believe that a sound berm or the like could be integrated into this plan. There's at least 20 meters potentially from a backyard fence to where the pump track would be. And then the also thing that I really want to push through is the pump tracks are actually very quiet. God, yeah.
It's easy.
He's clicking.
The arrow is not the
Yes.
not the button.
Yeah.
So here's a couple studies. You know, at the top here is an asphalt pump track, which is shown to be quieter than a soccer field, quieter than inline skating, quieter than the chainsaw, obviously. Noise levels associated with bicycles on the pump track are generally lower than talking and shouting from spectators and participants. Therefore, the noise levels generated by the pump track are anticipated to be lower than those generated during sports activities. So minimal impact to the local residents. And there can be provisions made to make it even lower impact. I wanted to do a neighborhood survey, but I did not get there this weekend. I did not have a lot of time. A few years ago, I did talk to a bunch of the neighbors. It was 50-50 split, but again, that was probably 3 years ago. My ask today is that we reconsider the Schmidt Park area north of the new playground as the location for the air pump track project.
Thank you, Jim. Questions, comments? Can you take down that, please? Councilor Overman, Councilor Lawrence, did you have any? No, that is not.
Madam Mayor. So I like Schmidt Park. as a location. I was there this weekend for the park opening, you were there as well. I looked at specifically at the area that Jared's talking about behind the tennis courts. It really is truly the only last green space in that park. The ball diamonds are ball diamonds, but they're not green space, they're green space. The soccer fields are actually on school board property, it's not township property. So the only spot we have left for kids to play frisbee or tag football or whatever they want to play is that area. I did go over and look specifically at the proposed hill area. And some people have said about tobogganing, and I appreciate that. My kids like tobogganing too when they were little. But quite honestly, I feel we've had a lot less snow the last few years than we used to have. So I'm not sure how big an issue tobogganing is. I go skiing as well, but I can't ski at Chicopee very often. So, I mean, you know, snow considerations, yes, I'm not gonna minimize how much fun it is to go tobogganing. But I really do feel that the fire hall hill would be a great location for pump track. Because it would allow us to keep that green field in space, but also take an area that's not really being used for the pump track. I guess the only question I have for staff on this is Jared's assertion that you can't build a pump track on the slope. I did some research online and there are some pump tracks where they are building on the slope. So I'm just curious if staff have a comment on that here.
See you on the.
So I'm gonna break it into the two different sites, because each have different topography. For the most part, the land area north of the ball diamond at the base of the fire hall hill is relatively flat, save and except then transitional grades of the former gravel pit rehab limits. So we're at the extreme east limit of the property or adjacent to the fire hall parking lot where today people toboggan if weather allows. Certainly, there is the ability to put some of the banked curbs on I call it east ridge line, and that could be incorporated into the ultimate design. The reality is any designer will take the property as it exists and try and work with what is available. The more you can use the materials found on site, the better it's going to be for your overall budget. The cost to import material from outside sources to create the humps, the bumps, the curves goes against your project budget. And because this is a park setting, we're obligated to have the highest, cleanest, for lack of a better term, standards for material testing and cleanliness of the materials brought into the site. So obviously, the more we can control within the boundaries of our own property as an origin, the less we need to import, and it allows the project budget to be truly utilized for features and or the amenities attributed to the pump track facility itself. So, you know, that's the fire hall property. So a portion of the ridge can be used, and I would suggest largely for the end curve feature or curved features, because you might have more than one, depending upon your serpentine pattern of the internal track itself. As it relates specifically to, the other thing is the drawing that you see on that is an extract from a facility that went out to tender in July, associated with a component of a larger pump track facility that was put to market by the city of Guelph. The clip that you see there is actually slightly larger than 25,000 square feet. So the footprint that you see there is larger than what we have talked about in our MOU, as well as the budget. We've talked about a 20,000 square foot facility. And of course, if you take a look at the outside of the white lines, which is the 25,000 square feet, the pump truck itself is actually interior to that. So there's a transitional area of some 7 to 7.5 meters before you actually get to the facility itself. As it relates to Cowan Park, once again, it's the approximate 25,000 plus square foot footprint. The actual facility is not on the slope that goes up to the soccer pitches. That would be impractical to have it on the side slope like that. But what it does do, it gives you viewer spectator seating, where the kids can be on the side slope watching, for lack of a better term, the broader activities of the pump track itself. The property at that location does fall about a 2% grade, 2.5% grade from south to north. And once again, to create some of the humps, the jumps and whatever, you would use some of the material at the south end and move it through the course area to create some of the features that would be part of the ultimate design, which is a separate phase, which we're not at today. So once again, using those materials, it allows you to reduce the amount that has to be imported into the site and the associated material testing and laboratory screening. So that's what the staff comment was related to topography. So accommodate viewer spectator seating, informal, as well as utilizing and reducing your reliance on importing materials into the site to allow your project budget to be best allocated.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Councilor Williams, Councilor Tilly.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. From what I can understand, I think keeping the toboggan hill would be very nice. I know that our winters have been good mild, but speaking with kids that love tobogganing, it'd be pretty sad if we didn't have that option there. Though I do also understand the desire to have an instrument park. But that's my comment. I think Cowan Park is, though it's not as nicely situated for folks in Air, it would be and nicely situated for folks in Ward 3 or Ward 4 with the additional parking and the other facilities that are also here. So that's just a thought to consider. Thank you.
Councilor Tilly.
Couple comments, sorry, a couple of questions. Sure, in your what you had on the screen there, in the location you had, is it approximately the same scale that you had? So you guys are about the same. Okay, maybe it just looked differently because of the different size of the shot of that. So that's okay. What is the requirement for the pump track for services, the lighting or any other, nothing, just nothing.
Cutting grass.
Okay, that's all right. I guess I'm actually not against putting it. So if I'm trying to understand correctly, and I pulled up my map here so I can understand. So you're talking space that is southeast to the fire department. So it's down in that last, the stuff is the last remaining green space.
No, the space that we just had the drainage corrected.
The drainage.
Large opening in the middle area.
Yep, okay. If there was this opportunity to move it out of the actual, so again, to align it, I'm in agreement with Councilor Gomes there about ruining the tobogganing hill there. I think was one of my main things when I was a kid, is finding a thing to do in the winter and getting out of the house and having some fun. And if you gotta go find it, then it's hard. But is there a way that we could possibly slide it in and still leave some green space? That's the only thing I'm trying to envision here, because there would be some green space if we rotated it
If you put it in the corner behind the fire hall and put it in a large open middle space, then you still have that area underneath the fire hall that's open, it's green space, and you get your toboggan. The impact, the problem is, it's supposed to be good.
Can you direct your questions to staff now, please?
Sorry, yeah, no problem, thank you. There was a couple questions in his presentation I had, so that's why I just went back to it. Okay. Okay, well then, with that, is to staff, I would wonder, is there a possible location that would still allow for more green space, but take it out of the way of this body? That would be my question.
Madam Mayor, through the cafeteria, I'm assuming you're talking about at Schmidt Park. Sorry, at Dim Schmidt Park. So no. As Mr. Bellamy has in his presentation, the last unprogrammed space is that area north of the playground structure and south of the drainage ditch that was incorporated to deal with the outfall of water from the parking lot around the fire hall. So it would be situated between the walking path and the fence lines adjacent to those flanking properties that front on to Hilltop Drive. And it would take up approximately 40%, 50% of that current what is now a level unorganized play area.
Councilor.
Mayor, so just so I'm clear on this, so the question really though is, if we put the pump track in the green area that you're talking about, Councilor Tilly and Jared, along behind all the houses on Hilltop Drive, so we'd be sacrificing a field that we use in the spring, summer, and the fall in exchange for a hill that we would use occasionally in the snow. There's water. And I'm not trying to be facetious, but I'm saying that really, in terms of usage, you're gonna get a lot more use out of the green field pretty much 3 seasons, as opposed to a hill that has, you know, trees and leaves going on already. Bogging, I mean, nothing wrong with bogging, but I just, we want to weigh off the uses. How much tobogganing are you gonna actually be doing on that hill versus how much is it, is the open space to use for flying a kite or playing frisbee? And that's kind of the question that we got to answer.
Councilor Austin.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you can.
Okay, perfect. So, I mean, I've always advocated to try and keep things in the areas where most of the children can bike to on the weekends, evenings, stuff like that. So, my preferential choice is Schmidt Park. I'm hoping today that maybe we could, cement that. However, I'm wondering if there's a design that we can come up with, space we can come up with that might be a compromise between the two solutions to minimize the amount of green field that is being lost, and also minimize the amount of homes that will be they feel will be affected by the noise, if you will. I mean, you buy a house, you back onto a park, and you don't want noise. That's not going to happen. Children are going to play. Children are going to make noise. People are going to use the park. That's why taxpayers' money goes to having parks. So I'm just wondering if maybe we can say Schmidt Park is where we want this pump track, but maybe we can move that. Like, I'm looking at the picture right now where it's behind the fire hall. I'm just wondering what would happen if we just moved it, I guess, a little west and tried to tilt it a little south, maybe in a 45-degree angle. And then maybe we wouldn't lose the tobogganing hill and we would minimize the amount of homes that it backs onto. I'm just wondering. I haven't seen any other concepts except accept this. And to me, it looks like it's just a square. I don't think a pump track is square, it's round, so maybe we could make a kidney shape or something that fits better into that situation. But I do believe that it should be at Schmidt Park.
See, I'm hearing thoughts on the southwest angle.
So Madam Mayor, to Councillor Oster's query about shape or configuration. That is actually done through the design exercise, once you have a designer in place. And obviously topography, drainage are key factors that would work their way into the ultimate configuration, as well as the elements to be incorporated within the pump track itself. That being said, generally speaking, they're rectangular in nature because they're trying to get a series of runs in a looping pattern and weaving back and forth. So from a land efficiency perspective, it gives the most efficient layout for the variety of amenities that people are trying to incorporate into the features, as well as I'll call it the path of travel and the angles and curves that you would normally have at each of the runs, ends of the runs. Yes, we could look at moving it westerly and then with a southeasterly tilt. But you'd still be using roughly 40% of that green space between the drainage ditch and the playground structure. Okay, if you're looking at a facility in that approximate 20,000 square foot area, you create perhaps a more contiguous unorganized play area by shifting it in that angular manner that was just raised by Councilor Oster. But at the end of the day, given the footprint of the feature and the footprint of the unorganized play area, you're still going to be using approximately 40% of the land area. You're just going to be using it a little bit more efficiently and not have as much isolated or strangulated pieces running along the edge of those residential lots.
See, on the grid, you keep talking 40% and 60%. How big would the 60% be left over? Sufficient to do what on?
So the unorganized area, council adopted a standard of trying to keep about 1.5 acres to 2 acres of unorganized open space in your urban parks. That was a position that council adopted in February. Okay, we have a standard for the rural areas, we have a standard for the urban areas. Schmidt Park is an interesting park in that we're trying to serve both the neighborhood needs, what do they need for gathering and play, and over the years, going right back to the original opening of the park in 1990, community level facilities that draw people from across North Dumfries, and in some cases beyond the boundaries of North Dumfries, to this address. So the ball diamonds, as an example, the tennis courts recently added. Those are community level. They can serve the neighborhood, but they're designed at a community level scale. The portions of land owned by the municipality associated with the park are limited for the unorganized, largely big area. The big area that we're talking about north of the play apparatus, which is approximately 1.75 acres in area. The smaller area is at the base of the toboggan hill. And there's a smaller area that's adjacent to the parking lot south of the tennis courts. Okay, those are your 3 pockets. Problem with the ball diamonds and considering them as unorganized play is they're designed for ball. Today, from roughly the first Monday of May through to the 3rd weekend of September, in the evenings, Monday to Thursday inclusive, they're used for ball. Occasional weekend, whether it be for their tournament play and or if they've lost some rain days earlier in the season, they try and make it up on those other time periods. as the community continues to grow, there will be more need for permitted times for ball, whether it be on the adult side or with the junior leagues. The times available will continue to shrink in terms of utilizing the ball diamonds for organized play. Tennis courts are what they are. They're not designed to get any bigger. But there will be more demand for the ball as the community continues to grow, assuming that there continues to be a trend for people wanting to play ball. This area represents your only neighborhood size portion where people in the neighborhood can play in an unorganized structure. And we keep hearing more and more about unorganized play is important for community and neighborhood and individual health. This park, other than this parcel we just talked about, is very structured play. It's tennis, it's the play apparatus, it's the ball diamond, as examples, okay? So they're designed for a specific end use, whereas this open area can be used for a wide variety of activities and can be programmed officially or unofficially to allow for that activity. I'd like to be able to account for the school property. We do use it during certain defined periods of time, but it's not available to us on a regular basis because during school hours, they discourage members of public accessing or being in the playground area during school hours. So we're looking at September through June.
Councillor Tim.
I guess my last question question and thought process is to do with the parking availability account. And I can appreciate some of the intent is to have a localized area for the downtown area zone to have easier access, and I can appreciate that. But 50% of our population doesn't live within driving distance. I'm sorry, lives in driving distance from. So there will be fun. I can guarantee my kids. I guarantee it's my kids are coming because they're excited to try it, wanted to check it out. So the parking situation there, I've not been there a lot of times for events, but I've been there a few times, and I know that that's one of the struggles for that area is that it does have a limitation on how to park, especially during like school time, because of the fact is being expired. And so in my mind, I'm good to do whatever's the best for the community and to make the best thing, and that includes thinking the long run. Would we regret not having a place where we can get access and do that? Because I also understand that with Jared's plan to do this, where it's also to have events like basically possibly events where others can come and use the space. So you know that dictates a parking area as well. So that's another thought that's in my head. Obviously, we do have more parking over this way. It is there. I can appreciate the fact that now, in regards, that's a question to staff, specifically Mr. McNeely, I guess, the grading of Cowan Park, like we could not make this space back here completely functional without having to worry. But like, I mean, I know there's natural inclines, but we're going to use material to build this, and could we not make it more functional if we did choose to use the Cowan Park location?
So Madam Mayor, through Councilor Tilley, just like we used the natural topography when we designed the skate park, the designer would use the materials and shape the property for the pump track. All I'm saying is we know that there will be the need for certain movement of materials to create the humps and bumps that are part of a typical road course. The less we can import, the more effective we can utilize our budget. Earthworks is extremely expensive. And if we can minimize then it puts us that much farther ahead. The site at Cowan is not flat, but also the grade differential that we're showing here isn't that significant either. So it's like we did at the skate park. We use the contours where it works to our advantage to create interest and diversity. And in other areas, we do what we call the cut and fill. You would cut some of the material and you would shift it within the construction area to be utilized for some of the features to be incorporated. Because the reality is, it's an earthen structure. Then we put the asphalt on the thread of the traveled course. Okay, but the majority of the work is actually shaping the topography, either through natural means and or the importation of materials to create the various elements that create the interest and the level of sophistication of the course itself.
Councillor Roman.
Madam Mayor, so I asked a question of clarification for staff. I thought this was gonna be a neighborhood level contract, that people were gonna, Jared was gonna bike to from his house, and then he was putting it at Schmidt Park because of the local and easily accessible to parking wasn't gonna be a major factor. Now we're talking about competition level contract, I assume, where we're gonna have lots of parking and spectators. I don't think that this contract is supposed to be competition level contract, so I want clarification, so I thought in the MOU you talked about just a regular sort of neighborhood level contract.
So Madam Mayor, through to Councillor Rowland, both by our budget as well as the land area. And the specific references in the MOU. This is meant to be a community facility, similar to the skate park, that can accommodate all ages, all abilities. So you can go to some pump tracks and they almost tier the two cells. And one is like, it's a novice, which is a very simple course. And then the other one has a little bit more added dimensions. We don't have the land area or the budget to create that multi-layered facility. So we've always, from the outset, talked about approximately 20,000 square feet, designed at a community level to serve all ages, all abilities. And then that's been reflected in the budget that we developed 2 years ago. And it's only been indexed through the 2025 deliverable.
So, Councillor Tilly. Roman.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just to follow up, I just wanna, I would like to have this at Schmidt Park, that's where I like to have it. But as Councillor Tilly has pointed out, if it's gonna be a contract that we have to have events at, then it's gonna have to be a common park. So I just need to know from you, Jared, to you, Madam Mayor, to Jared. Do you want to have a competition level contract that would be, have to be situated here at Common Park? Or do you want to have a neighborhood or community level contract that would easily fit into Schmidt Park? I think that's the first question, I think, because if the idea is competition level, then it's Common Park. And if it's going to be community level, then it's Schmidt Park.
Right, yeah, so. In the presentations I've made before. As part of throwing all of the information out there, saying, you know, that this is a sport where there are competitions, it is possible. Do we need that? No. Do we want it? Not necessarily. We just want these facilities so that people can leave. So I would say no to any major plans of having a competition.
Councillor Rose.
Just another point, I think the question also is not just whether or not there's competition, it's just that it's an attraction. So regardless of whether or not it's for competition or not, people are gonna want to come and try it out. Like Councillor Tilly, my kids are like, yeah, when's it done? I feel like going to bike on it. In which case, a more central location for all of our makes more sense, but yes.
So I'm really torn in this, and I've tried to listen to everybody. I see the value in Schmidt Park in that, okay, I'm an old lady. I worry about kids getting hurt, and I like that there's houses right there and fire stations right there should a child get hurt. But I remember Dave from Uxbridge when he built his, the mayor of Uxbridge. And after a year, I said, how's it going? And he went, huge parking problem, huge, to the point that the residents couldn't get parking and they were really angry. And they had to find a way to prevent the other towners from coming in and taking all the parking spots, because they will drive to it. The other towners will drive to it. And that parking lot at Schmidt Park will not take them, even if it's just recreation. So what, I don't know which way to go, because, I like that we can use the sloping and everything else to use fill to make it work here. I like the idea of parents right in the backyard, so that if anybody gets hurt, there's somebody right there. I'm really torn, I don't know which way to go yet. Any other suggestions? Councillor Austin. Councillor Austin. Councillor Austin.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, I just had to unmute myself. Sorry. So the thing is, like, we had all the same discussions when it came to the skateboard park, the skate park. And they said, well, you know, but people are gonna go up to the skate park and they're gonna drive up there. And well, that's fine. You can always throw a skateboard in the back of your car and drive up there. When it comes to pump tracks with bikes, now you need vehicles to get bikes in. So I'm worried that if it goes up there, it'll be used, but I don't think it'll be utilized. Whereas, as I mentioned before, having the facility at Schmidt Park, you know, the smaller kids can get up on a Saturday morning and they can go and they don't have to get a ride from their parents or their friends or somebody with a pickup truck or whatever. We want the community to use it. We don't want the community to say we have it. We want them to use it.
Any other questions or comments? I don't think it's a question of whether it'll be used, no matter which park it's at, but that's just my opinion. Well, Councilor Roman, you get the motion, so you get to pick one.
Move by myself, Councilor Tilly, that CA report number 18-2024 be received, and that council adopt Jim Schmidt Memorial Park as specifically the land area south of the hill adjacent to Fire Hall and north of the baseball diamond as a preferred location for the proposed pump track facility.
All those in favor? Councilor Ross, okay, and I didn't know, so I guess it's carried then. Yeah. Okay. Good discussion, good discussion. Correspondence items for action, City of Waterloo resolution, September 16, 2024, we solved the crisis campaign. Comments, questions? Seeing none, can I have a motion, please, Councilor Jones?
Moved by myself, seconded by Councilor Tilly, that the City of Waterloo resolution September 16, 2024 regarding solid crisis campaign be received for information.
All those in favor? Councilor Austin? Carried, thank you. Councilor Austin, if you're opposed to something, could you just say opposed? Because I can't tell when your hands up whether it's for or against. Thanks.
Yeah, there's about a 3-second lag. I'm putting my hand up as quick as I can, but there's a 3-second lag.
Yeah, that's what I figured, but if you're opposed, just say opposed, okay? Thanks. I don't have anything else. Close, motion to go into close, please, Councilor Rowan.
Myself, Councilor Williams, the council move into a closed meeting session at 7:37 p.m. pursuant to Act 292C to discuss confidential report LGL 02-2024 litigation or potential litigation, including matters before the state tribunals, affecting municipalities, the local board, which Act section 292E, and advice that is subject to solicitor client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose, which Act section 292 now.
All those in favor? Carried, thank you.
Hey, good.